darky.
We turning up for this melody. They know. 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 Alright. We turning up for this melody. They know. Alright. We turning up for this melody. They know. Alright. We turning up for this melody. They know. We turning up for this melody. They know. We turning up for this dark matter. Carbon 12. That's within all matter.
Peace, family. Welcome to another classroom episode of Farewell University. Now, this classroom episode is a continuation from the previous one I've had, titled Egyptian Hieroglyphics Part 1. This is Egyptian Hieroglyphics Part 2, family. Now, in the first introduction of Egyptian hieroglyphics, I broke down what the Egyptian hieroglyphics actually were, and I broke down not only how it is illegitimate and a fallacy to claim that the Europeans have successfully translated the Egyptian hieroglyphics, but I kind of went in order with the chain of command and how there's a broken chain of command and the alleged European scholarship of who's responsible for translating the Meta Netia, which would be predicated and founded upon Philippus. So now what we want to do, family, is we want to go to the actual framework and step by step of what it takes to translate the Meta Netia, because I like to give the people something to fight with. I want to give y'all something to fight with, because y'all can see, family, we ask questions, we don't get no answers. It's just like talking to a pastor, you know. So that being said, we want to go through. A lot of people say, well, Pharaoh, did you ever try to translate the Meta Netia? Yes, I did try to translate the Meta Netia myself, and this is how I got to this point. So with that being said, first we want to go and I want to answer some questions for the family. So y'all might say, Pharaoh, how do we know that the Meta Netia can be read? Or how do you know that they stole certain things out the Bible? There's a difference between hieroglyphics and cursive hieroglyphics. Now, hieroglyphics, without them being in cursive format, would include, as you can see here, family. I'm trying to get this picture as clear as I can for y'all. This will be the god Khnum, and this is you can see an idol. It's in human form, and he's molding the man on the potter's wheel. So in the Bible, when it says, God made man from clay, we can clearly see that the Egyptians have a Neteru, whatever you want to call it, a godly depiction of a being molding a man from clay. So we can clearly see where the Bible stole its stories from. So now we want to deal with the elders. A lot of people like to say, oh, Pharaoh, ain't that disrespectful to the elders? When you're dealing with elders like Dr. Ben, and other elders alike, have never falsely claimed to translate the Meta Netia. They simply told you the stories of the hieroglyphics. So I say that to say this, family. Matter of fact, if I even put this up there, you won't see Azraquazi attempting to read this, okay? You'll see Azraquazi telling the stories of this, which I agree with. You won't see Azraquazi talking about something. He can read this. So when people say that's disrespectful to the elders, they feel disrespected because they're getting caught in their bullshit lies. So they want to say I'm disrespecting the elders, when the elders never claimed the bullshit that they're claiming today. So now we want to go into depth, family. Okay? Now y'all remember this one from the last time. This is going to be very important. Alright? So you want to go into the science. Now the last video, if you haven't watched it, go watch it. I broke down when, who, what, where, when, and why of each text when it was made, right? So now, these are the 4 different texts in which I was speaking about in my last video. In order, you have Demotic text, you got Greek text, you got Hieratic text, and you got Coptic. Okay, family, y'all following me? I got my little notes here, make sure I don't miss a beat. Okay, so now in the alphabet, right? Because the Meta Netia was allegedly translated to English alphabet, predicated upon the alleged finding of what is called the Rosetta Stone, right? So now what they don't tell you is, let's write hieroglyphics over here. You're just gonna write hieroglyphs. Now, family, what they don't tell you is there are over 2,000 hieroglyphics. I'm going to be nice, okay, and say it's just a flat 2,000. Now, why is this important? Y'all see these right here? Now, once again, I want to teach y'all the difference between regular hieroglyphics and cursive hieroglyphics. These are what they call netures, family. Now, there are only 33 of these, okay? There are over 2,000 of these. Make sure y'all can see this. There are over 2,000 of these. So this is what people are claiming they could read. Not this. We can blatantly see what this say. Okay, we can see the stories in this. This is what people are claiming they could read. Cursive hieroglyphics. Okay? So now we're gonna get into the fallacy, family. What everybody likes to call scholarship. You see, in school, when you do your homework, right? You can get the answer, and what do your teacher tell you? Show your work. Because when you show your work, it'll let you know if you did it wrong. So a lot of people think they have had the answer for 20, 30 years, but they never showed their work because they never had to. Because they all been standing on a lie that they all agree upon. Because it's comfortable for their ego. So now when you ask a question, a simple question, people trying to say I'm attacking Kemet. I would never attack the work of my ancestors. All I did was ask a goddamn question. I want to see you show some work. Because when I tried it, it didn't work. So now when you ask a question, people want to take that as disrespect. And say, oh, I speak this many languages. I've traveled the world this many times. And you've done everything but answer any of my goddamn questions that I posed. So that being said, family, I'm going to teach y'all why Pharaoh Allah University is the best university in the ATM galaxy today. There are over 2,000 hieroglyphics, right, family? Pay attention. Let me get my notes. Okay. There's only 24 letters. Write this down. Get your pen and paper at home, family. There's only 24 letters in the Greek alphabet, 29 letters in the Demotic alphabet. There's only 24 letters in the Hieratic alphabet, and there's only 31 letters in the Coptic alphabet. Follow me now, family. The Demotic text is what John Chaplin claims was used to translate the Meta Neter. Now, if you watch my Egyptian hieroglyphics video number 1, I broke down how 14 out of 29 of those were wrong, which means 45 to 50% of the Demotic text would be incorrect. So if these were translated using the Demotic text, then that means by default 45 to 50% of that would be correct. But on this one, we're just going to assume, let's say all of this is correct, family. I'm going to give you the numbers. D stands for Demotic, G stands for Greek, H stands for Hieratic, and C stands for Coptic, right, family? Now, if the Demotic text was used to successfully translate the Meta Neter, let's say all 29 characters were successfully translated, right? You still have 1,971 hieroglyphics that you have to account for. Now, if the Greek text was used, let's say all 24 alphabets were successfully used to translate the Meta Neter, you still have 1,976 of these left that you have to account for. Let's say the Hieratic text was used. Once again, 24. You have 1,976 Egyptian hieroglyphics you have to account for. And last, let's say Coptic was used. Coptic has 31 letters in its alphabet. You have 1,900, make sure I'm getting this right, and 69 Egyptian hieroglyphics you have to use. Now, why is this important? Because motherfuckers want to sit here and tell me they translated the Meta Neter. Not only can't you translate an idea to a letter, even if we act like you did, why don't you have 2,000 letters in your alphabet to account for every alleged hieroglyph that you translated? Because I'm gonna put it in your face. Again, family, you see these? These are called cursive hieroglyphics. These is what niggas is claiming that they out here reading, right? There are over 2,000 of these. Now I'm gonna show you the board again. If Demetic text was used to translate these, there's only 29 letters in the Demetic text, to which 14 were wrong. But let's assume that all 29 were correct. You still have 1,971 more of these that you have to account for how you translate it. And if you did successfully translate these, why don't you have 2,000 letters in the Demetic alphabet, Or if you don't have 2,000 letters in the Demetic alphabet, why does the letters in the Demetic alphabet not have multiple meanings to suffice for the leftover or remaining hieroglyphic? Because you never translated it. See, this is why you got to tell people to show their goddamn work. So now when you tell me that you translated the Egyptian hieroglyphics into English, okay, the English alphabet is only 28 letters. So let's do some math. 2,000 minus 20 puts us at 1,980. Take away the 2, we have 1,978. So now I'm gonna do y'all one better. 1 second, I'm gonna get my phone, I'm gonna bust this calculator out. Give me 1 second, family. Okay. Cause we in school right now. We in school. Cause we like to teach. Now 28. Y'all see me doing the math. 2,000 minus 28 puts us at 1,972, family. So now we're going to divide this by another 28, and that puts us at 70.4. So let's just round that to 70. So now that means the English alphabet, each letter in the English alphabet would have to have 70 different meanings each. If the Meta Netra was successfully translated into English. Not one of the goddamn alphabet letters have one meaning, let alone 70. So if you successfully translated 2, and remember it's more than 2,000. I'm being nice and just giving them a flat 2,000. If you successfully translated 2,000 hieroglyphics, why does none of the alleged textual grammatical text that you use have anywhere near the amount of hieroglyphics, for one? For two, why doesn't any of the letters in the alphabet have multiple meanings, at least 70, okay, to reflect each hieroglyph that it translated? Why doesn't it even have one? The English language doesn't have one. The letter A don't mean shit. And I want to make this point, because I heard a brother say, you know, okay, the letter A is a vulture, right, family? Let me make sure y'all can see this. He said the letter A is a vulture. And they found out it was the letter A because of the sound it make. So vultures go, ah, ah, and they found out that was an A. Okay, well, how the fuck is an arm the B and the leg the B? Because don't none one of them bitches make a B sound, okay? How the fuck is a hand a D? Because that motherfucker don't make no D sound. How the fuck is a J a motherfucking snake? It don't make no D sound. How is water a N? Because it don't make no M sound. How the fuck is an owl a M? Because it don't make no M sound. Owls go, ooh, ooh. Not no motherfucking nigga. Last time I checked, it was an owl, not a motherfucking cow. So stop letting people say stupid bullshit to y'all and get away with it because they think they fucking can. Okay, family? We want to know. We want to see these niggas work. Okay? The time for talking is over. So like I said, family, this is Pharaoh Line University, where we show them fucking proof we ain't just doing this. So now, I want to bring up another point. Before I get to my other point, I want y'all to get y'all pads and papers and write this shit up, down, and run in these niggas' mouths with this. Okay, family? Stop all that. Stop paying niggas to learn how to speak this shit until niggas can show you step by fucking step. So that, or else they ain't no better than no motherfucking pastor out here just telling you something and want you to believe it and they can't fucking show it. So now I'm gonna prove my point, family. Once again, the Demetic text, right, is what was used to translate the hieroglyphics. So if so, it's only 29 letters in the Demetic text, to which 14 were wrong. And if all 29 were right, excluding the wrong 14, let's just give them 100% of that alphabet to be correct. Why can they not account for 1,971 of the remaining of the motherfucking hieroglyphics? Okay? You should have 2,000 motherfucking letters in its alphabet if you translated 2,000 motherfucking hieroglyphics. Period. And if not, then at least this shit should have 69 to 70 meanings for each of its letters, and so on and so forth for the rest of the text. Now, we ain't done with they ass. Write these numbers down, family, and get on these niggas. If a nigga say the Greek text was used to translate it, nigga, you got 1,976 more hieroglyphics you gotta account for. If you say heraldic text was used, you got 1,976 more hieroglyphics to account for. If you say Coptic text was used, you got 1,969 more hieroglyphics to account for. Now let me tell you why Coptic text is null and void. Because Coptic text is a hybrid creation from Hieratic and Demotic text. Coptic text took 6 to 7 different letters from Demotic text to even create itself. And I keep telling you, 14 out of 29 of the Demotic text was wrong. So Coptic text was created by the biggest Christian church in Egypt during what they call the Egyptian Christian period, and they stole wrong letters, they stole letters from the Demotic text which were wrong to create its language. So even if Coptic text was wrong, not only do you got 1,967 other letters to account for, you gotta account for them through a language that's wrong in itself, because it was built off a fucking language that's 50% wrong. So stop letting these motherfuckers lie to y'all. Now we not done. We ain't done. I'm not done. I'm not done. This is Farewell University, family. You know? We're not going for this shit. Now, you got a lot of people out here that's gonna say, oh, Pharaoh, it was done through the Greek text. Y'all see that? So these was translated through Greek text. Now you know why I'm finna kill him? Because the Greek language is not a spoken language. Okay? A nigga never spoke Omega. That ain't got no motherfucking sound. Okay? You can't speak the Greek language. That's what they don't tell you. The Greek language is an unspoken language. You ain't never heard a motherfucker speak Greek. You heard somebody speak French. You heard somebody speak Spanish. You ain't never heard a motherfucker speak Greek. Okay? So now, why is this important? Because we finna kill him. We finna kill him right here, family. If indeed, and I'm just giving motherfuckers the benefit of the doubt here. If indeed the Egyptian hieroglyphics was translated through the Greek text, not only do you have 1,976 more hieroglyphics that you have to account for, the Meta Netra was a non-spoken language, which means it was translated through another non-spoken language. So if you translated something that's non-spoken through something that's non-spoken, how the fuck is you speaking it today? So what they will tell you is this. Okay, Meta Netra should be written like this, right? MDT, NDTR. Because there were no vowels, right? Now, if this is true, there will be no vowels because nobody was speaking the shit. So we can conclude and agree that the ancestors did not use A-E-I-O-U at all, okay? So for them to come put the motherfucking E's in there to make it Meta Netra, okay? For them to make it Meta Netra, this is a hybrid language. So the shit niggas is allegedly claiming they speaking today is some made up bullshit. Because if you saying this shit was translated through Greek, Greek is a non-spoken language. So you translated mental ideas and pictures through some shit that was never even, had no phonetic sounds, had no sounds to it, into something that was not a sound. And it came out like this, Meta Netra. And then you customized and threw some motherfucking vowels in there so that you could bring this shit to life, because it never could be spoken in the first place. So these motherfuckers is lying, family. Stop letting these motherfuckers lie to y'all. Like I said, go, if you gotta rewind this classroom session, go write down all them numbers and take them to these niggas and tell these niggas to show you step by step, okay? Tell them to show you. All these niggas is standing on European alleged scholarship, which is based off a motherfucking lie, okay? If you look up the Egyptology Society, which I broke down in the part 1 video, you'll see it's connected to the Rothschilds. Amelia Edwards' father was a rich ass banker. That's who she got her money from. And they got ties in secret society and masonry. And they lied. They said that they deciphered the Egyptian hieroglyphs because there was something going on during the 1800s. Look this up, family, called Egypt Mania. And what this was all the Europeans were turning into maniacs over their infatuation with Egypt. And they kept seeing so much shit that they liked over there, they just started stealing shit. And if you look up statistics, over 85% of all architectural findings in museums today come from Egypt. This comes from that time period, Egypt Mania. And what happens is people was going to these motherfucking museums asking the Europeans, what does this mean? And they had no account or explanation for it because they was just stealing shit. They didn't know what it meant. So they started, and they created something called Egyptology, and they alleged that they were dealing with, excavations when excavation is really just grave robbery and desecration of burial sites, and they claim that they were using these artifacts for scholarly reasons in decipherment, when really they never fucking deciphered them. They just needed an excuse for why they had the property of an entire other race in their hands. So nobody never deciphered this. So do your research, and if they did, they need to be able to count for over 1,900 other hieroglyphics that they missed. So now why am I using the distinction of cursive hieroglyphics from normal hieroglyphics, you say? Because this book right here, we're going to use this, the Ancient Egyptian Pyramid Texts. Now, according to this book, author R.O. Faulkner family, these texts come from 5th and 6th century Egypt. Now let me write this down on the board so y'all can see how goddamn long ago this was. 5th plus 6th dynasty Egypt, right? Will run you from approximately 2494 BC all the way to 2181 BC. Now here's where it get freaky. Now here's where you're gonna have to call Scooby-Doo in the game, because it's finna get real spooky right now. So, mind you family, this is 2,500 years before Demetic text, and even that shit was even being talked about. So this is when the Egyptians was using this pure. Wasn't no Demetic text, no Coptic text, no none of that shit. Anything, see, all of Demetic text and Coptic text family came out, let's say, 650 BC. So you can see the big ass gap difference. So this is over 2,000 years. This is approximately over 2,000 years before any other text was being talked about. Okay? So don't let nobody tell you that the Egyptians been using that shit. No, they didn't. So now why is this important? In this book, you can clearly see cursive hieroglyphics. So now somebody's claiming to have deciphered these, right? And can read these. So now why is this important? Because you got niggas that will tell you on a motherfucking video, oh, if you read the pyramid text, it says this about the pharaohs, right? And then when you ask that motherfucker, how did they decipher that? They're going to tell you, I don't know, I don't speak the Melanetia. So what makes you different than a pastor? You telling somebody that a book says something that you yourself cannot factually prove to your own motherfucking self. So you niggas running around talking about, any of these niggas running around talking about they speaking in Melanetia, outside of what we can see, and verify for ourselves, is just like motherfucking Creflo Dollar, is just like anybody else. You cannot prove that shit to yourself, and you're telling people what shit say that you don't even know what the shit say. And family, like I said, anybody disagree, tell those motherfuckers that they got about 1,900 and some change when it comes to these that needs to be accounted for. There are over 2,000 hieroglyphics, okay? Why are there not over 2,000 alphabets in any of these languages, including the English language? And if so, why does each letter in the alphabet not have at least 69 to 70 meanings to account for each of the 2,000 translations that they allegedly did? I'll tell you why, because they never fucking did it. Now we gonna put the motherfucking cake on the ice cream now, family. And excuse my language for cursing so much in Farewell University. I know I ain't supposed to be cursing in class. Y'all can write me up. I know I done been suspended plenty times. Now, here's the icing on the cake. Okay, here we go. You got 1799. The Rosetta Stone was found. RS found. This is Rosetta Stone, right? 1822 was allegedly the first time, right? When this was deciphered. So now, the earliest, let's say, hieroglyphics ever written, according to the white man, not according to what we know, was around 3200 BC. So we just gonna be nice and say 3,000 years before this. So that means 3,822 years ago, from allegedly when these motherfuckers, 4,000, 4,822 years ago, from allegedly when the Europeans said they decipher hieroglyphics was written. So you mean to tell me you can explain what this shit said 4,000 and it predates you by 4,000 years? Now what I'll tell you is this, family. Once again, I'm gonna do the letters for y'all. D is for Demetic, H is for Heretic, G is for Greek, C is for Coptic. Now you know what all of these have in common? They only can be read from right to left, R through L. Now why is this important? Because these curvaceous hieroglyphics can be read in any direction. Excuse my handwriting. That says direction right there, if you need to know. So now why is this important? Because you have thousands of years. This shit was written 3,000 years before this. So now with that being said, not only do they have to account for all 2,000 hieroglyphics, you have to be able to account for how you know the direction this shit was read. Because I'll give you an example again. Let's say from the year 2500 BC to the year 2200 BC, this was read in a Z pattern, which means you start here, you go here, you come back, you go that way, right? And then let's just say the Egyptians said, you know what, fuck it, we gonna get freaky on them now. From the year 2200 BC to the year 1800 BC, fuck a Z pattern. We gonna read this motherfucker in a swivel. So now you start here, you go down, you go up, you go down. So with that being said, how the fuck did they know which directions this shit was read to be able to tell you what this shit said all the way in the 6th dynasty? Do you know what direction they was reading the Meta Neter in the 6th dynasty? No, the fuck you don't. You know why? Because your ass is now 3,000 years old. You wasn't there with them. So how you gonna come and decipher some shit? Not only are you missing 2,000 hieroglyphics that you can't account for, the language that you using to decipher it only can be read from right to left. This shit can be read any way. How do you know which direction them people was reading this language for 3,000 years? You don't know what direction they was reading this for 3,000 years. So not only do you have to, I'm going to say it again, you have to go and account for 2,000 alphabetical characters that you can't account for. And then once you do that, you have to be able to figure out which direction they go. For not just one dynasty, not just 2 dynasties, not just 3 dynasties, not just 4 dynasties, not just 5 dynasties, but from about 25 to 30 dynasties. Do you know how many thousands of years that is? Do you know how many different motherfucking eras of reading direction has been changed throughout Egyptian history? So I need for you to be able to count for every one. If you telling me somebody in the 7th dynasty said some shit, you need to be able to tell me which direction they was reading when they said it. And you need to be able to account for the 2,000 hieroglyphics that your alleged language of translation is missing to prove to me what they said. So nobody can do this. You know why? Because this shit has never been done. And then when you ask somebody to show you, they'll never show you. They'll throw false credentials of scholarship in your face, just like the white man do. When you go to court and you fighting your case and you come in there with some good ass case law and you winning, guess what the judge say? I'm a judge 20 years. You gonna tell me how to do my job? Da-da-da. They try to pull a rank on you. So now when you ask these alleged one of these alleged elders, you know, how was the Meta Neter translated? They try to do the same shit Europeans do. Pull a rank. Oh, I speak 50 languages. Oh, I've been around the world. Oh, I learned how to tie my shoe when I was 2 years old. Yeah, you done all of this shit and you cannot account for 2,000 hieroglyphics, okay? And you cannot account for thousands, 3 millenniums worth of which direction this language has been being read. You can't do it, okay? The European couldn't even do it. So how did you do it? You're standing on the works of the European. Just like pastors are standing on the words of a European. The European said God wrote the Bible, niggas believe it. These niggas, the European said he translated the Meta Neter, these niggas believe it. You know why? Because they never did the work. Like school says, show your work. And I want to make a correction to myself, family, because I be flowing off the head so much with these numbers. Before anybody try to get ignorant in my comments, yes, the English alphabet has 26 letters, not 28. Thank you. I can correct myself. So with that being said, family, it's time to show and prove. Okay? And this is why we have these Farewell universities. Because we want to teach the people the correct way. So, as I said again, I'm going to end it on this note. Just to put it back in everybody's mind. Just so that y'all understand. And I honestly hope that, you know, that y'all brought y'all pads out for this. I honestly hope that. Once again, take my notes. Greek family has 24 letters in its alphabet. Demotic family has 29 letters. Hieratic family has 24 letters. Coptic has 31 letters. And there are over 2,000 goddamn hieroglyphics. Okay? So I'm going to say this one last time. Let me finish getting these numbers up here for y'all, so y'all can understand what I'm trying to tell y'all. Once again, and I'm going to end on this note. Okay. I'm going to say it again one last time, family. Not only can the direction of these letters for a minimum of 3,000 years not being accounted for in which way they were read, the Demotic text is what was used to translate the Egyptian hieroglyphics predicated upon the finding of the Rosetta Stone in 1799, which is over 35,000 years after this language was already invented. 45 to 50% of this is wrong. Let me underline it. 45 to 50% of that is wrong, as I stated in my first video. So therefore, if this was used to decipher this, that means 45% of what you speak today is incorrect. Now I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt and say all 29 of them characters was correct. That means you still have 1,971 of these that you have to account for. So now when you go to the Demotic text, I want everybody to look up what do these letters mean. You'll see they have no meaning. And if they do have a meaning, they have a minimum of 1. So now with that being said, you still have 60 to 70 different meanings. Because when you take these and you subtract them, and then you divide the remaining number by how many letters in the alphabet, that tells you how many meanings each letter in this alphabet should carry to account for every alleged Egyptian hieroglyphics that the language was supposed to have translated. So that means if it was translated through Greek, I'll say it again, the Greek language is a non-spoken language, which means you translated an idea into a letter, which is wrong in the first place. But let's just say we give them that. You translated the idea into a letter. You translated something that's not verbally spoken into something that's not verbally spoken, and then you threw consonants and you threw vowels in there on some hybrid shit in order to be able to speak something that never was meant to be spoken. So now that's violation right there. So whoever's claiming that they're speaking the Meta Nature is motherfucking lying. How do you take an idea, turn it to a letter? Okay, you took the vulture, let's say, and you turned it to the Omega Greek sign. And then from the Omega Greek sign, you took that, turned that into an English letter, and then you threw a goddamn A-E-I-O-U in there so that you could speak it. So you making shit up, okay? Stop making shit up. So if it was translated through the Greek family, it cannot be spoken, should not be spoken, don't know how the hell it's being spoken. If it was translated through the Demotic text, 45 to 50% of it is wrong. And even if it's not, you still have 1,971 characters to account for. Just like with Greek, you have 1,976 characters to account for. Hieratic text only has 24 letters in its alphabet. Even if 24 letters were all correct, you still have 1,976 Egyptian hieroglyphics you have to account for. Coptic text, which was created from Demotic text, incorrect grammatical errors, and hieratic text, this is a hybrid language, has 31 letters in its alphabet. Which means if this was used to translate the Meta Nature, you have 1,969 hieroglyphics to account for. So I want to see these niggas account for this. I don't want to keep hearing this. I want to see the motherfucking work. How was it done? It was never done. Stop lying. Now with that being said, family, I want y'all all to know that all 4 of these languages on this board were created 650 BC and down by Europeans. None of these languages or textual grammatical compositions that you see on this board were created by Africans. All of these were created by Greeks, specifically Jews, and Romans, and Greeks. Those three categories of Europeans occupying Egypt at this time, because they could not speak the Meta-Netia. So when they, or the Egyptian hieroglyphics. So when they invaded Egypt, they were unable to speak what was on the walls. So they created their own language because they couldn't even occupy the language that was there. So the fact they had to create 4 different fucking languages to speak because they couldn't speak this one tells you that it would be impossible for them to translate this, because if they could have spoken, they would have never had to make their own fucking language in the first place. So with that being said, family, I hope I'm giving y'all enough ammo to go out there and question, you know, and question why it is people that are falsifying that they speak in this Meta-Netia fully. Now, once again, I'm not attacking the elders, and I will say this. This, I believe in my soul, we can understand what the ancestors is trying to say, because you can see the story, okay? This is like watching a movie without no words. So with the Netia rules and the principles and certain things like that, I'll agree with that. All day, all day, all day. I'll agree. But when the motherfuckers get to telling me, oh, I'll teach you how to speak the Meta-Netia. Bitch, you don't know how to speak it. Shut your ass up. When somebody get to telling me, oh, this says this and this says that. How the fuck do you know? How do you know? You using a English alphabet that has 26 letters in it. Nigga, 2,000 minus 20 takes us to 80, minus the 6 takes us to 74. You still have 2,974 Egyptian hieroglyphs that you can't account for, but yet you claim to speak. So shut your ass up. It's simple as that. So with that being said, family, you know, I love y'all. Thank y'all. Thank you for attending another Pharaoh University. Like I always say, we teach melanated people the truth about themselves and our ancestors. And, you know, we're not attacking Kemet as some people would like to give me the disposition to say due to my last video. We're simply seeking the truth. Even if it is on a foundation that we stand on, because we're truth seekers. Okay? So with that being said, I love y'all. More videos coming soon. Right after this. Fuck Harvard, fuck Princeton, and fuck Yale. With that being said, peace.